Hello, everybody. My name is Maureen Obare. I am a producer, writer, director, and an author of Take P7 book series. Welcome to this podcast, Diary of a Socialite. Now, this is a place where you get to discover yourself as a woman, and what that includes is you get to know your purpose, you get to know your calling. In short, you get to make your calling and your election sure, and after that, you'll be able to know how to cover yourself. Now, the twist comes in because it's not only you covering yourself, because you have to cover your family, you have to cover your friends, you have to cover your man, your husband, and in return, also, the society is expected to do that, to do the same for you. So right about now, joining me is a very good friend of mine. We've known each other for quite a long time. This is 10-year long-distance relationship, and it's actually worked. It has been a relationship that has been valuable, has been honest, it has been truthful, and it has borne more fruits than most of the relationships that I've had, as you know, with some of my friends. So right about now, I am introducing to you a very good friend of mine, all the way from Gloucester. So she's going to introduce herself right now, and then we'll kick it from there.
Hi guys, my name is Rosalia. It's more said I'm Moore's friend right there. And basically, I mean, the Moore covered everything to do with the podcast, but just something to add on there, because I always say Moore is like a preacher, and then I'm just her friend discovering herself. So this podcast for me is going to be a journey looking at what's happened to me in the past, what's happened to us, and as a woman, where I want to be in the future, and how, as a society, as a community, as womanhood, how we can come and help each other, and basically just sharing stories and experiences, and just seeing how we can go forward together and build one another up, and in a way covering ourselves with being independent, covering our families, and all around everyone else around us, sisterhood, just all the positivity that there is. But like I always tell Mo, not taking yourself too seriously, because when you do that, that's when things will go wrong. And we're not trying to do that. We're just trying to live our best lives and the most, anything that we can achieve that in. So for me, trying to live my best life is sometimes making sure that I sleep very well. That's part of it. You know, God said we would rest too, so we should. And it just including working and that sort of thing. So yeah, so I'm based in the UK, as Maureen said, and I basically, I'm a student at the moment, and I also study. So it's just studying and working. Sorry, excuse me, student and studying. I study and I work. So just trying to balance those two things, and just trying to do other little things, little projects here and there. But we'll get into that a bit later.
All right, so this is Diary of a Socialite. All right, so how was your day, Rosalia?
My day is always busy, but good. As you know, I'm always running around. All of my friends always ask me why I'm always so busy, considering I don't have a husband or children. But, you know, same old stuff, trying to work, trying to, sort my life out here and there, and obviously trying to be here, ready for this recording. So, yeah. How about yours?
My day was good. Like, I think we had this conversation earlier on today. Like, I woke up and I felt like my face was swelling. And I was like, oh my God, are we ever going to do this podcast today? So thank God.
Well, you look amazing. You're hiding it very well.
It doesn't show, right? It doesn't show, right? Thank God. How are you feeling now? You had like an appointment with the doctor?
It was just physiotherapy. It was okay. I was just... I had a trapped nerve in my back, in my spine, but I've been working through it since January, and I'm back to good now. So I'll be back clapping for people.
But it's good to see you. You're looking really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, when is this long distance relationship gonna stop? When are you coming to Kenya?
Wow, when are you buying my ticket? Like I said, I'm a student, or like
Am I
Invitations and tickets. That's what I know you want me to visit.
Am I your sponsor? Am I your sponsor? I thought you got yourself a sponsor.
No, boyfriend. Now I'm looking for a sponsor.
But I know you're a very, very, very responsible person. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you'll sponsor all of us.
After you've sponsored me, I have to let the elders lead first,
The elder? Am I an elder now?
Yes, you are, because you're always talking to me like an elder, a fun elder. The wisdom sometimes just be coming through you. That's probably coming through.
No, but you're also like one of the wisest people that I've met in wisest woman, I would say, that I've met like in the last 10 years. I mean, that's why we're here and that's why we're doing this,
Shay, honestly, it's been really nice knowing you. We have very profound conversations so randomly because they're never scheduled and they're just, obviously scheduled. This is the only first ever scheduled phone call. But
yeah.
And speaking of which, actually, obviously when you were like, oh, let's have this podcast, you kind of talked about it once or twice before. We never really took it serious. And then you came back this week like with a mock-up, a thumbnail, and I was just thinking, what's going on here?
What do you mean I never took it seriously? Because you're the one who brought it up.
I brought it up, but then it went quiet because we had lots of phone calls about because we don't talk that often. I was like, oh, if she's not brought it up, she's not taking it seriously. But I was clearly very wrong because you were working behind scenes. And so was I. I have a lot of questions for you, Mo. I've been waiting and they will be asked through here.
Please don't make me sweat. Don't make me sweat. I want my makeup intact by the end of this conversation, please.
No. So basically, I kind of went around with our title, isn't it? Because when you introduced the title to me, I was a bit like, what? Like a diary of a socialite? Because I was like, obviously in England, socialites are not really a thing here because it's just celebrities and stuff like that. But I know in Africa, in some America, I guess some other countries, they're something. Socialites are, well known, very famous, and people follow them a lot. Whereas here it's more like Instagram models, which is a different category, I would think. So please tell me, I know you said it's a pun, but explain to me the difference between the normal socialite and the way you've worded our title.
All right, so to everybody who's watching, normal socialite, of course, has the, a different, not like a normal socialite, but how we refer to them is, it's socialite is spelled as SOCIALITE. So we did just a wordplay, because the socialite that we know here is referred to mostly as IG models. It has like a negative connotation to it, more so like a woman who doesn't have value, a woman who doesn't have, the character, So we kind of switched that up to bring this to you, and to call, to sort of say and introduce the new woman, the woman who has light in them, and this woman is a woman of value, and that's why we're calling her the socialite. So not necessarily referred to as a woman with a negative connotation, but a woman who does positive, positive work on herself and on the society, as just a whole,
Okay, so I'm gonna have to ask you in some way. What positive light do you do for yourself and for the community? And this is a straightforward questions, Maureen. Okay,
yeah, I know. I mean, and that's heavy. So when we're talking in terms of positive light, so first of all, we're not only looking at women who are quote unquote IG models. But in this space, we're going to be looking at women in different career, in different setups, you know, in different, who are called to different spaces, and see the kind of good work that they do with themselves, with the society. But back to your question, like, what is the kind of good work that I do?
Yes.
Well, number one, like I said, I am a producer, I'm a writer, I'm a director, and I'm an author. So what that does is, number one, it creates employment for a lot of people. That's number one. With my books are more social psychotherapy, because for me, I feel like every day people wake up and it's all about gossip. It's all about gossip. It's not self-reflective. It's not about you. It's about other people. So people wake up in the morning and they look at blogs and they look at, you know, all these gossip platforms, you know, and everybody has an opinion except for themselves. So when it comes to themselves, it's hard for people to look at themselves in the mirror and say, this is who I am, this is these are my challenges, these are my shortcomings, you know. So what that does, what I do with the books is more so shed the light, not shed the light on the people, but it's a self-reflective book where you get to look at yourself and work on yourself, on just becoming better. So that's basically what I do. What do you do for?
As a light, as a social light.
Light. I think obviously with everybody, the pandemic kind of made a lot of people stop and think, to just be like, okay, am I looking after myself mentally? I know especially in England, because I only live in England, so I guess I can give that point of view. You know, not being able to go to the shops, not being able to see people. I mean, everybody lives so far away here. I had a lot of time with myself to actually sit there and, you know, discover my character, or, you know, lack of character. Because, you know, when you're spending every day by yourself and you can't be productive, or when you look through the day and you think, oh, you know, I slept all day. Yes, the first couple of days of lockdown, it's like, yes, I can sleep. I don't have to rush to go to work. But then when it was, you know, after a week, what have I done? What am I going to come out of this period saying that I've done? That kind of made me look inside and be like, okay, so what can I do for myself to be positive to myself? You know, I've always worked, I've always been, you know, out there, not really looking after myself. And I think one of the things that came out of that was taking time, like you said, to reflect. I started watching a bit more stuff about maybe, I think the first thing I watched was about finance, just because I wanted to get out of a situation where I think I was on a car loan at the time. And then I just thought, you know, like the pandemic, if I stop working, I don't have money. How, you know, like, how can I finish paying for all of these things? Why have I put myself in that bondage that I cannot come out of it? So a lot of that was like, okay, let's fix the money. Let's fix our prayer life. Because again, I always use my excuses that, oh Lord, you know, I'm going to work. I work with people all the time. I'm always a reflection of you, because, you know, I pray for them sometimes, or I wish I blessed them. So technically it's a prayer, you know? Yeah. You do to lie to yourself and really not sure if you're really connected. So that was part of, that for me is a long journey, but I know that when I perfect it, or when I keep trying, it's not necessarily that you've perfected it already, but you keeping, you know, trying and moving forward. For me, I mean, if I'm consciously every day reminding myself that I need to go back to the beginning, I'm hoping that then it just, you know, shows a habit for starters. For me, that's what I was struggling with. And on top of that, I can have that relationship and that peace that I want, that only God can give. And then in terms of the community or outwards, I'm involved in dentistry. I'm currently a dental nurse studying to be a dental hygienist and therapist. And I also have a little project, a non-profit project for dental health. So part of it is giving free advice. I know during the pandemic, I did like lots of flyers that just gave you different, you know, sort of things, self-help things that you could do during in the pandemic, where we couldn't see dentists and we couldn't do that. And following it on, I volunteer in a homeless shelter where we feed people that are homeless or that can't afford necessarily hot meals. So a part of that is coming with them, introducing to oral health, donating toothbrushes, toothpaste, and just spending time with people and just letting I don't go out preaching, as some great people do. But I'm hoping through my service to them, they can, wonder what way it comes from and what my motives are, and hopefully it takes them to God. Or if not, they're just blessed for that moment that they encounter me. Saying that, I'm not always in a accountable mood. So, like I said, I'm not, we're just going through and reflecting every day, because if you're purposeful for something, you will hopefully achieve it. If you're ignorant to it, you will never achieve it. So part of my journey, part of the positivity is being conscious of what am I doing for myself? What am I doing? And being that aware of it, I'm hoping will get me to where I want to be, where, people can be like, oh, that Rosalia, okay, she's a light. She brings good things around. She's not a negative person, or she's reduced her gossiping, or she says nice things. That's what I'm hoping, and that's the light I think I'm bringing. And hopefully, there's more light and more avenues of different lights that will come in the future in terms of serving my community and working on myself. Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely with, you said that you're not like a preacher sort of. Well, I'll tell you, you're preaching with whatever it is that you're doing, and you're touching lives, so many lives, right? So I would probably like you to shed a light on when you came to Kenya and your experience with dental nursing and the charity that you were doing over here. Just share your experience with us when you were here.
Okay, so this is one of those moments. I'll just say my little background for being a dental nurse. So being a dental nurse in England, on the hierarchy of dentist, dental hygienist, dental nurse, you're on the bottom. Your finances are not that good. You're able to live, but in terms of venturing on to, I'm going to start a charity and I'm going to fundraise, and it was very difficult. Very, very difficult. But then again, honestly, I know people always say, oh, by the grace of God. I really mean by the grace of God. I remember having this dream, and I was like, okay, years before I volunteered with another charity in Zimbabwe, but then everything was just pointing to Kenya. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't really know Kenyans apart from my pastor in church. And, he's always busy. He's a pastor. What's he going to help me with? And I remember having a meeting with him. It was a last minute one. I just turned up, as I always do. And he was like, yeah, we'll have a meeting. And then he's like, if you are serious about this, drop some plans and we'll go for it. And basically everything came together. Dentists volunteered, nurses volunteered this side. We managed to do a little bit of fundraising, not enough that we needed, but everything kind of worked out so that I can at least go out, and then we could think about everything else later on. As you know, Maureen, you were very instrumental to my journey, so I'm very thankful for that. I had a bit of trouble getting a license. So for anyone who's a clinician to go and perform in another country, you need to go to the medical board or to the dental board and get your license. If you're not doing that, I would advise you do it, because you don't want to get into trouble with the law in a foreign country. So I remember I was really struggling. Everything was pretty much set. I had sent money. I had just not hearing anything from them. And I remember running to Maureen like, oh my God, Maureen, everything's going to get ruined. I'm nearly there. And she hooked me up with some people that managed to get it for me within 3 days after I'd been trying for 5 months. So I was like, thank God for that destiny helper over there. But yeah, so that's just the background of it. And then in terms of coming, we mainly worked with orphanages, or more so rehabilitation centers for children. So these were children that were either found homeless, then brought in, or people with illnesses and kind of abandoned, and these charities or these organizations were able to look after them, rehabilitate them, send them to school. So we worked with one in Nairobi. I think it's Rescue Dada, Rescue the Girl, because I think there was a lot of, when we talked about with the organizations, they said, before there was a lot of things for boys, but nothing for the girls. So, when that was set up, Rescue Dada was set up, it focused on girls, and literally being there, everyone, little girls everywhere. And you just think, wow, this is the generation that will carry the next generation. And to think somebody just wanted to leave them there, just for them to fend for themselves was heartbreaking. But at the same time, thankful that I was in a setting like that where you have, the organization that does help. And then it also makes you think, like, what is going through the woman who carried this girl to have to leave her? Like, some people, we turn around and bad parents, they leave their children. Like, that is so terrible. Why are you having children if you can't afford them? That's always, I know from a Western point of view, I hear that a lot. Like, if you can't afford the children, don't have them. But when I went there and, just spending that time, I think for a mom to be so desperate that she has to go and drop off her child in a, rehabilitation center or police station or on the streets, something must be bad, and they must lack that positivity in them, like that, the fight. So that was part of, that was just encouraging and just showed that we were in the right direction, that we should carry on doing what we did. I mean, we were only there for dentistry, but when you're meeting some of the children we met, they had never been to the dentist, so we were helping them. Some still had their child teeth, so deciduous teeth. We were able to either treat those or take them and then give them information so that way in the future it does not come that they lose their adult teeth. So it was really empowering. And then we were also in Kisumu. We went to the YMCA where we treated some of the staff, because obviously all the work that they do, the volunteering as well as the paid work, is very taxing, and anything we could do to help was, we saw some moms and children that also visited. We gave them all free treatment. And then we also went to Agape in Kisumu. And this charity, again, had boys, young boys that have been abandoned and they, orphaned. Or, there was a child there who had like multiple medical conditions. So he's disabled in essence. And one of the workers actually, has taken it upon herself that she will look after him because I don't think he can be adopted, or rehabilitation is not there for him. So, coming through was like, wow, for us to be able to go there was very, very powerful for us. And I was very glad that the opportunities that opened up in those settings more so than any other setting. And it was just an extraordinary time. I'm very thankful that I was able to lead that team that went over there. Obviously, the pandemic stopped everything. So our future is to be coming back to places like Kenya. My dream is to go other countries. I'd love to go back home to Zimbabwe mainly because, Zimbabwean, and England. I do a lot of stuff here because it's very much needed, believe it or not. There's a lot of homeless community here, lots of dental decay and just other problems associated with dental health. But we can talk about that another time. But yeah, so...
Definitely. You're definitely welcome back to Kenya any day, anytime. This is home, and of course we need to plan that trip to Zimbabwe together. I've told you I've always wanted to come to Zimbabwe.
You're welcome. I'll take you. I'll sponsor.
You'll sponsor it officially. All right, so let me ask you another question. At your age, why would you involve yourself in charity work? Because like a lot of people your age, they'll be like, it's all about partying, it's all about, why would I want to put my effort into this? Like it's about me, myself, and I. So why is it important for you to get involved in charity work, especially the one that is in line with your work? I don't know if it's close to your heart. You'll tell us that, because sometimes a lot of people get involved in charity work, but it's not like it's not like something that is close to their heart, Yeah. Yeah, they do it for selfish ambitions. So tell us, is it for selfish ambition? Is it for publicity stunts? Why did you get yourself involved in charity work, with charity work?
First of all, in England, I am the average person. No one knows me.
I know you. You're global. You're shining.
So for me, dental charity and stuff was purely, obviously, a glutton for punishment. I wanted to punish myself for all my sins. That's what basically it was for. Because here in England, I'm not known. I'm not anyone involved in social media. I go to work, I see my friends, I see my family, and I eat food. That's basically it. So, I constantly had this calling or the desire to be involved or to know a bit more about charities. For the last 10 years, I've been in dentistry. It's always been on the back of my mind. And, it's sort of like, when I get money, I'll volunteer with this group because they do these amazing trips to these places. Part of it was just, one was to travel. I like traveling. I've been fortunate to travel to other places. And when you have done that, it's kind of like, so when I do travel, am I going to actually make an impact, or am I just going to see people? Especially for like coming to Africa. For me, I'm like, you always hear English Westerners going there to do charity work. And I'm just like, that's very interesting. Because I feel like, as well as, yes, I'm very thankful for the aid from Westerners. I think people like me who are in the West should be able to go back home and with whatever skills that they have should make a positive impact on their community. I think it's our duty. I know people would disagree with me, but I think somewhat it is our duty, in whatever capacity you can. I mean, some people do it. They send money home to send children to school. Some people go, I don't have money to send anyone to school. So the only thing I have is the fact that I'm a dental nurse. I know about oral health, and I can go and impact that on my fellow Zimbabweans and other Africans and anyone else who will listen, really. Yeah, but overall, it was just in my heart. I felt like that's the one area that I can actually give back and I'm knowledgeable on. And I'm, I feel like it's one of the easiest things that someone can do for their own health. And if they just need to know that with a toothbrush and toothpaste, you can stop yourself from having dental disease. You can stop yourself from spending loads of money trying to replace missing teeth or trying to have teeth taken out. And I mean, there's other factors that I included. I mean, one of the interesting facts that I kind of learned through my studies that when people do not look after their gums and their teeth and they're trying to conceive a child, you could actually lose your child. You could miscarry because your gums, the gum disease is now going to your bloodstream and going to the heart, as well as the heart and your pregnancy. So, and I'm like, when I spoke to my friends, I remember reading about it, and I'm like, surely women know. I know some of my friends have had babies. So surely, somebody told them along the line. They're like, nope, didn't know anything about it. So I'm like sitting here like, oh my God, people need to know. They need to know why they need to look after their teeth. So for me, like you said, it's very close to my heart. And my desires is just for everybody to just be equipped with the dental health, because it also plays quite a big role as well on your overall health. So if I can give back that message, then that would be what's great. And also, sorry, just like one thing. When I went to Kenya, I met a lady there, a dentist, and she was called Dolphin. And she literally had so much faith in me. She's a dentist based in Kisumu. She now has also a practice in Nairobi. She's doing so well. And basically, she volunteered. She didn't know me. She didn't know what it was all about. We literally met within like 10 minutes of soaking wet because I'd gone on those little bicycle things, motorbike things. And we sat there and talked, and I was just like, if a country or if somebody's willing to receive me and my message, and then on top of that help me, I need to even do more, because that was the year before I came. So, at that time I was just, planning and seeing what areas, if it's even possible. And then she was so supportive. I was just like, see, there are people that are willing to receive the message. You just have to be there, and people that will help you. But yeah, more, all this talk, you've asked me about what I do. One thing that's always been a reigning theme with you is you're always wanting to look after the girl child. You're always talking about empowering girls, because even when we met you, then one of the friends that we had at the time, and you talked about you wanted to invite us, you wanted us to know, you wanted to do something for the girls. You wasn't sure what project you would want to work on. You kept on saying there'll be a project that will come to empower girls. Obviously, your books have come out now, so there's another thing. But what makes you so passionate about trying to impact other women? I mean, you're a beautiful model, producer, everything that you pretty much, have set your life to be. Surely you should just be like, go and get that money, girl, and, live in a penthouse somewhere, driving a Mercedes or a Bentley. What makes you want to look after little girls like me, even though they're younger than you?
Do I look after you? Do I look after you?
hold me accountable, and you always ask if I've got bigger plans than sleeping. So, yeah.
You know, I mean, because women play a very big part in empowering and impacting the society. I mean, if you look at it, we're the ones who most of the time probably are left with the children and with the responsibility of raising the children, and the society is like a child. You know, they need care. Of course, it's not a burden for everybody, but if it's your burden, then why should you not do it? Because first of all, for me, it's I'm just burdened for the woman, maybe because of some of the challenges that I've had whilst becoming in the journey of becoming who I'm called to be. So when I'm looking at all the challenges that women have to go through, like career women, as a mother, the many sacrifices that you need to make as a mother, you know, in the career business, me being, let's say, for example, in the media, there are many, let's say, for example, like in terms of sexual advances, there's so many things that you need to do to settle for less, for you to get the kind of work that you want, the kind of work that you desire. And a lot of women, you know, face those challenges, and they end up settling for less other than what they were called for, what they were called to do. And I see that everywhere, and they become frustrated. And after they become frustrated, they take out their frustration on the people who are around them. So, like the Bible says, a woman, you know, makes or breaks a house or a home, you know. And once you have a broken home, that means you have a broken society, you know. So it starts with the empowerment of the woman, you understand, mind, body, spiritually, physically. Like I said, part of the things that I've done is put out the book so that a woman can be able to have like a sound mind. They can be able to obtain back their power, the power that they've lost, and they can be able to actually find out what love is and what true love is. And in that way, by the woman being sober, they can be able to now impact their children in a positive way. They can raise their children in a positive way. You know, they can be there for their husband. They can be there for their father. They can be there for just for not everybody in the society, but the people who they're called to. They can be able to be there for them. You know, not just be a puppet. So and so, you know, like look at the way people look at sometimes at women, and they look down on you because we have nothing more to offer than just the physical aspect. You know, that's one thing to offer, but also there is the mind part. There's a spiritual part. There's your whole being, you being whole, will definitely have a positive impact on whoever you come into contact with. That is if they are willing to what's it called, to accept change, you know, to accept change. I think one of the conversations that we've had for a very long time is me as a woman. There's one thing about women. Like I said, this podcast is about the woman. It's about, you know, it's about truth. And one of the character traits that that a woman has had from, let's say, from the beginning. Let's talk about Eve. You know, it's the ability of what's it called? First of all, the ability of not being able to tell the truth. You know, so truth, lies, conniving. You know, all these things, all these challenges that a woman has, if they're able to accept that, you know, naturally, a woman has all these shortcomings in terms of saying the truth, in terms of, you know, not lying, you know, then we will be able to have like a better society, a better community, you know, because a woman is a person who takes something and grows it and makes it bigger, you know. So me personally, why I am interested in this woman is more so because of the outcome, the impact that they can be able to do or to have in the society once they recognize and realize who they are. They act on their potential and they don't settle for less, you know, because, and I think we had this conversation about settling for less the other day when you're like, what audacity did you have to keep, you know, what's it called, going for more or becoming more, you understand? So I feel like if we do not settle, then we can be able to have much more positive impact, not only for this generation or the next generations, but also will leave a thumbprint for generations and generations to come. So for me, it's not like something that I'm doing selfishly, but it's because of I feel like if the woman is empowered positively, the impact that they will make in the society is going to be incredible. And it has to be in a truthful way.
Yeah, because you know, when we talked we previously about, you know, just rough things, we talked about, you know, we are two different women, like, you know, you would never have put us as friends. So when we are going to be talking about the things that we're talking about, it's not going to be for every woman. It's going to be for women like us, if they're women like us. If not, it'll be for me and you more, because
I'm telling you.
You know, and I inspire you. I know that. And I inspire
What did you just say?
Yes, I inspire you because you report to me sometimes. Hard-hitting questions. Yeah, you know, one of the things that you've mentioned because obviously you being a mother, you see things a bit differently from what I see. I see from my perspective as a daughter of someone, you know, unfortunately my mom passed away when I was very young. So, you know, I always have that, I wonder what my mom would think, or I wonder what my mom thought about, you know, when she was my age, or about this matter. And we were saying, you know, it would be quite nice for us to kind of document what our thoughts are here about our modern things that we're, especially about our generations to come, so that we can always reflect on that, or just see our progression, our growth. You know, sometimes, you know, when we look back, we're like, oh, I was so dumb about certain things, and now I'm getting there, or I need to keep working on those things. So yeah, I think, you know, it's quite interesting, the points that you've made. So I'm going to ask you then, who inspires you? What women inspire you? I know you've got mentors, men, but I want to know what women inspire you? Just two. Quick and brief more.
Quick and brief? Oh, my mom. Mm-hmm. Oh, she was the best, man. She was the best. And I think she was the best. Because earlier on, when of course she's passed on, but earlier on when she was alive, and when I was a teenager, and you know, teenage years, you know, you kind of tend to, you know, lean towards rebellion. Most of the times you think, oh, my mom is just, you know, on my case. I don't want her on my case because I want to pursue this, you know.
I want to hear about this rebellion in another one.
Yeah, in another one, not today. Not today, you know. But for me, it's because she showed me the love and the love that a woman has, and what that can, how that can change someone, you know, because she loved me unconditionally. Like I said, I got pregnant when I was 20, and I knew that's the end of me, because she was like one of those African women. I knew she was gonna whoop my ass. So, and the doctors, when we had like the doctor's appointment, I was on the edge of my seat like this, and she was sat next to me, and she was looking at me like, you know. So I knew, she was gonna, you know, she was gonna cause, but she acted so calmly. you know, throughout the whole situation, and she loved me through it, and you know, that's when I knew what truly unconditional love is, you know. And she just became one of my biggest mentors, you know. And she was there, you know how single parenthood can be, it's quite hard. And I was really quite young, 20 years, quite young, you know. So she was there through thick and thin. So she's my role model, hands down, in terms of home, in terms of, you know, the care that she had for me, the advice that she gave me. She's one person who never gave up. She was always a businesswoman. She would always pursue. She'd always wake up and do what she did for 7 kids, and looked how we turned out, you know.
Yeah.
So she did amazing. She did amazing work. The second woman who inspires me, of course, it's the single woman, because I know the struggles they go through and the sacrifices. Single parent, rather, the woman, the struggles they go through, and the sacrifices they have to go through, and how the single parent is just an amazing woman, because they make a lot of sacrifices. Well, it depends, because I'm talking about the socialite, the light one, you know, the one who doesn't settle. Because you have to sacrifice a lot, you know, going out, and you have to do all these things for this baby. Sometimes you have to quit work so that you can be able to take care of this kid. Sometimes you have to work over, you know, like hours and hours and hours, so that you can be able to provide for this child. You know, so for me, it's how strong a single parent is, you know, because it takes a lot. It takes a lot. It takes you. You can be the father, but it takes you taking the responsibility of the masculine, you know, masculinity. So you have to have masculinity and femininity in place, and that's crazy. That's hard work, you know. So that's one woman that I love. You know, and inspires me. I look up at that and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
And you, of course.
And me, of course.
I've slid you in.
Thank you for sliding me in there. It's special.
Hey.
For me, in terms of the women that have inspired me, I think one of the things I realized in my earlier 20s was that I have a problem with females in authority. And I didn't realize why I had that. And I didn't even realize I had it. And I just remember having a conversation with one of my friends. And she's like, you know, your practice managers are always females. You know, you're always not getting along with these females in your life. You always have something to say. Have you ever thought that you actually have a problem with females being in authority? And I was just like, no, I love a woman. I'm a woman. I'm pro-women. And I was like, maybe I'm not pro-women. Only like women when they're my aunties and, you know, on the side, nothing to do with my career. So in that sense, I was like, okay, I'm going to have to be purposeful and actually see who inspires me. And if this word that's been said upon me is actually true, that I have a problem with other women. So I kind of looked at my bosses at that time, and I was just like, why do I not get along with them? Is it because, you know, they're doing something negative? And I think a part of it was that, you know, with those women in those places of authority, is that they were unapologetic. And I think I kind of had a problem with that. I thought women should care for everybody else first. So, you know, when I'm asking, oh, hi, please, can I go on this course? And my manager's saying no, because it's not good for the practice. You know, I was like, I would expect to hear that from a man, but not from a woman, because I would think a woman would want me to be empowered. And I realized I had problems with them not being apologetically in their role. So then I was like, oh, okay, so there's something wrong with me. So I need to now obviously work on that. What am I apologetic about in my life that as a woman I feel like I shouldn't be doing because I'm a woman? Not necessarily that any man has put this in me, because I was raised by my brother and his wife, and my brother is one of those men that's like, you're a girl, you have the same ability as a man, you need to make your own money, don't ever be a woman that has to rely on a husband's paycheck before she makes any moves. And he's always, you know, taught me to change a tire, taught me to fix my car. So, you know, in terms of those things, he's always empowered me. But I obviously had this negative, don't know where it was coming from, that I just thought women should be apologetic. They shouldn't be a certain way. And yeah, so after that realization, I kind of turned around and I said, I purpose to look for the people that actually inspire me. And one of the person that inspires me the most, and she's probably going to be surprised if she ever hears this, is my sister-in-law, my first brother's wife. She's English, well, Scottish. She's born and bred in England. She's, Western herself. And, she inspires me because when she was a young age, in her early 20s, our mother died, and her and my brother had just been together, and they had to make a decision of whether to come and get us to look after us. Now, I can't imagine in my 20s if somebody I just known for a year, mother died. Now I have to look after 2 children. Like, can you imagine? Like, that's your 20s gone. That's all of the things you wanted gone. And the sacrifice that she made for somebody she didn't love or even know. I mean, she loved my brother, thank God for that, but she didn't know me. She didn't have to love me. She didn't even have to do that. She could have just been like, we can still be together, but you take on the responsibility yourself. That's your family. But no, she was very involved. And throughout the years, when I look at her, she's not a woman like me. I can't say that we're the same, but I'm hoping I've picked up some of her good habits. She's not a traditional woman in any sense, or sometimes I think one of the struggles that I had was that I used to look at her and look at my African aunties or African women, and I'll be like, well, she's not like that. She doesn't do that. She doesn't, when I'm going on a long journey, she doesn't pack me food to take with me. This is not a good woman. But then I remember one day just sitting there, I was talking to a friend and I was talking about budgeting and, working out how money comes out of your accounts and, how you need to be careful that if you spend something, there's a delay, there's a pending. And I was just thinking, and my friend was like, who taught you all of this? Like, I don't know this stuff. And I was just like, oh yeah, my sister, she used to drag me to bring all the receipts back home if I ever went shopping, and then she'd put it on a spreadsheet, and then she would, show me how to make it all balanced. And she's like, this is how you handle the finances for the whole house. So, so that everybody, because we all have different cards and we all have to buy things, but we don't always communicate. So if you know this, you can send the message, don't spend money from that account, and you don't get into debt and you don't do this. And I was so surprised. I was like, looking at her, I'm like, oh, she's, she taught me so much without me even knowing. And which has led to the independent woman that I am today. I mean, thankfully, since I've left my brother's house, I've not needed to ask for money from anyone. I've borrowed from, someone, but I've been able to pay it all off back, but I've not needed, it wasn't a dire need. It's more so my friends hearing that I'm going through this and they're offering to help so that I don't have to do an extra night shift or anything. So that's one woman that's really inspired me. And then I just want the second woman who inspired me, but I can't say that I have really had a lot of time with them, is my mother. So my mom died when I was 10. So obviously as a child, I didn't really know much. But now that I'm growing up and listening to the decisions that she had to make for us to be here and for where she was, going back to school after she had 2 children. I can't imagine anyone doing that. I can't imagine that if I have children, I'll ever go back to school. She went back to school, got herself an education, basically paid for all of us to go to boarding school so we can all learn English. She did the sacrifices that I'm like, so blown by, like, you just can't even understand how she got to those decisions. And part of me wishes that I was there, or she recorded something for me to tell me, oh, this is why I made this decision, child, or this is how I found these things, because things that she didn't make any sense to me, because I don't think I would have been that strong. I would have given up quite easily. I would have been like, I have children. I'll just settle for the man that's right here that's saying that he wants me for the rest of his life. Let's do that, but obviously I don't know everything about her. So some of the stuff is just me guessing. But yeah, she inspires me a lot. And because she was a teacher, I think people need to appreciate teachers, because there's so many people. You send your child from a very young age to a school and you're entrusting a stranger to teach them values, discipline, and, obviously the subjects that are there. But teachers teach more than that, because I've had people, like, I went back to Zimbabwe in 2017 for a charity trip, and some random lady, she saw my name and she actually looked at me And then she was like, you look like someone I know. There was a teacher that I had. She was a good teacher. And then she asked for my name and I told her my name. She goes, I know your mom, Madam Gombera. And I was like, yes, that's my mom. And she was like, she was an amazing teacher. She changed my life. And you think, oh my gosh, like, you know, this woman, you know, she's not famous. She didn't do anything. She wasn't in any books or anything like that. But to have impacted someone is inspiring. And obviously she taught agriculture, so I'm hoping there's lots of people there that can plant their own food. And as we know, we want Africa to be self-sufficient. So I'm hoping from her dream, her teaching, someone else can go there. And for me, that inspires me, and I look up to her. And I think whatever I can have in me, hopefully it goes down to someone else, and they can also change their area, even if it's just their children, change their household. Yeah.
And just to pick up the conversation about teachers, you know, just allow me to add one more person on my list of one of the women that I look up to, you know. And I think one of the biggest roles that teachers play is to connect people back to their dreams. I feel like that's one of the most important roles that teachers play in students' lives, you know. And I remember there's one teacher I had in high school. She was called Mrs. Otom. Oh my goodness, she loved me, you know. So, because when I joined high school, I went to a high school, you know. But because I went to a high school that, you know, a lot of, you know, that is looked at as, you know, one of those not successful high schools that you'd go to, where not so many successful people would come out of that high school, you know. And it was also in this, you know, one of these dangerous areas and zones, you know. So if you come out successful, or if you come out with flying colors and you've passed your exams, then that's kudos to you, you know. So I remember this teacher getting into high school. She used to push me. She used to send me to music festivals and drama festivals, and she was like, oh, you know, she held my hand and she pushed me in terms of you know, just getting better in my English, you know, and because I didn't know how I was gonna, you know, I didn't know that this drama thing is what I was going to do. Like this media thing is what I was going to do until after high school. That's when I got really, really interested. But truly, she saw something. You know, sometimes it takes somebody else to see something in you that you don't see yourself, you know. So, so she did that. She used to push me, and I used to be like, why are you making me read this thing? Why are you making me cram this thing? You know, but after I do it, I probably score a higher mark, and I really... because of her and the discipline that she gave me, and the fact that she used to connect me back to my dream in terms of media, in terms of drama, in terms of acting, you know, because immediately after high school, that's when I got into acting, and I was like, how did she know? You know. So she's one of my role models. I came out of that school with flying colors. If I tell anybody that I've come from that school, they look at me like, you know. But she's one of those, you know. So we need to wrap this conversation, because I know we're not going to finish with this conversation, but it is a journey, you know. So we'll continue unpacking everything for you as we go. But for me, the next episode, you mentioned something about sending money back to Africa. I would want to know, you know, because people think that there you guys grow money on trees and you just need to send it back here. Have you been in a position where you've had to send money back to Africa? Did you like it? Did you not like it?
I'm a student, guys. I have no money to send.
No.
Do you grow money on trees that I can come and pluck?
You know, maybe, because clearly that's the opinion that's had, that there's money on trees. That's why some of us like, you know, night shifts non-stop. We're trying to hide away from the money outside.
That would be very interesting. So do you want to wrap this up for us?
Oh, thank you guys for joining us for our first ever episode. As you can see, we are girls and women just like you. just trying to be the best that we can, trying to find how we can help ourselves. Be positive to yourself first before you can go out there in the community and let your light shine. And also in your households, just trying to do this thing called life with the best outcomes that we can while being healthy mentally, physically. I mean, we'll talk into all of those sort of things later, but I'm very thankful for you to join us, and may you join us for the next one too. Thank you.